It's important to recognize the absolute precious nature of time and the time we have in our lives. Something that just about everybody takes for granted, and it's one of the greatest gifts that we're given. It's life itself and the amount of time we have to discover why we really are born here and what our purpose is for living in the world. And in that period of time, we all go through ups and downs and good things and bad things, and all kinds of situations manifest. And people seem to live with this idea that everything is positive or negative. It's not. Understand? Positive and negative disappear when you begin to recognize that both of them are teaching you something about yourself. So that all your bad or negative experiences, if they make you work harder on yourself and go deeper in order to grow, to get past them, they're not really negative experiences. They're just things we have to go through in order to grow and get closer, to a oneness with God, spirit, higher energy in the universe. I mean, this is a very freeing way of looking at life. It'll really keep us from getting into states of depression, unhappiness, fear, anxiety. If we just recognize, all right, this is rough, but look what I have to do in myself to grow, to get above this. And if you do what you have to do inside yourself, it's just another positive experience. It's really teaching you about you. I mean, depression and all that's endemic in the world. And people get more depressed because they're depressed. They feel this unhappiness and it makes them even more depressed. Why me and why am I going? Instead of saying, what do I have to do to master this? How do I have to work on myself to master depression, fear, insecurity, guilt, all of these negative things that really create a swamp that we drown ourselves in. And if we don't learn to master them, they eat all our energy away. It takes months, if not years, to get out of cycles of depression. But if we learn, what do I have to do to get strong? How much chi do I have to build in myself? How centered do I have to get at the core of my being to build the strength to be able to absorb this depression and get free of it? And that state becomes a teacher instead of something that is taking your life away. And I think this is a very hard thing for people to learn. But I think you learn it when you go through it enough and you beat your head against the wall enough till you finally start looking for other answers. And there are other answers. And I'm not talking from having read about this in a book, I'm talking from having been through it. And finally, through this meditation practice, found a way to master it. In fact, at this point in my life, it doesn't even bother coming to me anymore. It doesn't have a chance. And I think anybody can do this. We all have chakras, we all have minds, we all have breath. What it amounts to is learning to use all of the tools that we're born with consciously to develop a chakra system that enables us to be connected with higher energy in the universe all the time, not just in meditation class. but all the time. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask?
Sure. Is there a healthy competition that isn't divisive?
You have to speak up, Shakur. I can't.
Is is there a healthy competition, healthy kind of competition that isn't divisive, that leads us to oneness?
I mean, all competition can be healthy. If you let it get divisive, it'll get divisive. If you let the competitive forces in your life take over and you get insecure because of them, they get divisive. But if you say, okay, I have this competitive thing that I can get stronger because of this. I remember Rudy used to walk in to the dining room in the ashram and he'd look at me and say, look how much he's growing and what kind of schmuck you are. I mean, he would say this to me. At first, it really upset me. And then I began to know, Stuart, he's pointing out something. Grow. Never bothered me. I never felt I was any less than the person he pointed out to. But there was competition. So instead of letting it suck me dry, it made me get stronger. And it was no longer divisive. I didn't have to get him to pat me on the back and say, I'm okay, you're okay. Whatever he did, it was a reason for me to grow. Whatever you do, Shakur, is a reason for me to grow. Not that you're in competition, but you do. Everybody does stuff. It's a reason to grow instead of a reason to get sucked into that stupidity of a competitive world that eats you alive. And then you learn how to use everything to get to God instead of everything using you to get to the grave. And there's enough of it around, man, that we can get enlightened in a week and a half if we use it consciously. There's so much crap that goes on in this world that you can so easily get sucked into. And the answer is building an inner life, developing the chakra below the navel, building internal strength so that you work out your karma. You're here to learn how to do this. You're here to learn to work out karma. And you'll never work out a karma if your heart isn't open, if there's not love inside you, and if there's no ability to use all of this nonsense that goes on in the world to build your inner life and to keep your heart open and not be intimidated by it. I mean, when I was younger, I was always intimidated by rich people. I really was, I had a hard time being around people and success and money and that, until I got in the art business where I had to spend my life around those kind of people in order to earn a living. And I realized they were just people. I'd have movie stars come into my gallery complaining about their lives. I mean, really. I mean, not just one, but celebrities that would come in. I'd sit there and for an hour listening to them complain about all the bullshit in their life. It taught me how to recognize that there is no competition. The only person you're in competition with is yourself. That's the only person anybody is in competition. And if you overcome yourself, you can deal with anything anyone brings. It doesn't matter. And that's how you work out karma. You don't work out your karma until you have become a happy person living in a mad world. Your heart's open. There's love. There's God inside you. There's compassion for the suffering of others. You don't relish in the suffering of other people. You have compassion. And you do what you can up to a point that you can do it. I hope this is clear because there's two elements to meditation and a spiritual life. One is connecting with higher energy in the universe, building a chakra system that enables you to get strong enough to learn how to live in this world and be a happy person, to work out your karma. You know, we're not born on Mars. We're not born somewhere in the cosmos. We're born on the earth. And one of the things that we all have to deal with on the planet Earth is the amount of suffering that goes on here. In each and every one of us, and also everybody, basically 8 billion strong, going through it in one way or another. This is the lesson we have to learn, how to get happy amidst all of this. Be God's fool.
Thank you, Stuart.
You know. Does anyone else have a question? Great question. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, if there are no more questions, there will be meditation on Sunday. Following Sunday, no, I'm having a retreat here. If you are interested in attending retreats, you know, there's going to be one every 2 months. There's another one in October. You just have to sign up and get a place for yourself, and that's it. You know, being that I do this in my apartment, I have room for like 17 people. You know, in my living room, I can do it. So if you sign up, you'll get a place. If not, then there'll be a waiting list and blah, 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 blah stuff. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, if there are no more questions, there will be meditation Sunday. And once again, thank you all. God bless you all for being here, for being in these classes, for dragging this stuff out of me that you drag out of me. Because I always tell you, I listen also. It's not Stuart talking. It's a higher energy that is talking. And it's not only teaching you all, it's teaching me as well. I am not the all-wise person. Understand? All I know how to do is let go and surrender, and this energy comes, the Shakti comes, and it teaches. So thank you. God bless you, and have a wonderful weekend. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Sunday.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Stuart,
Have a great weekend.
you too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.